Hello, everyone. Welcome to day 2 of PGL Antwerp Major DFS Slate Breakdown. So, obviously, day 1 went really, really terribly. We picked pretty much every underdog incorrectly. A lot of those big favorites ended up smashing. It was a weird day. Um, I don't know. It was almost like everything was exactly as predicted in a weird way. Um, Quickly, if we were to check like the results, starting from the bottom up, Vitality 16-1 complexity. Vitality was a huge favorite, so that made sense. Bad News Eagles got the slight win over Eternal Fire. We knew that was going to be close. I did end up actually going to the B&E side. I tweeted out that I found some things interesting with the map pool and stuff. So I guess partially we were kind of on the right side of that. I think B&E ended up being a even money bet, but I don't think I gave it that out at all, so can't take any credit for that really. G2 versus Liquid, big favorite. G2 got the job done there as well. I was on Team Liquid. I thought Team Liquid was, I was just a lot higher on them than they are. Pretty much, it's all it was. I was pretty wrong about that. I do feel a little vindicated in a way there. I think G2 is a really, really strong team. I like them a lot. I think they're going to be competing for the tournament win. So, in a way, we were right there. Fours versus Renegades. Fours ended up getting the win, not on the DFS slate. Uh, but again, that was one win as expected. Astralis 16-2 over IHC. Gigantic favorite, smash spot. They got the job done. Spirit B Imperial. That one was a little surprising to me, honestly. I thought it would be a little bit closer, although I did like Spirit more so. Outsiders MIBR, that one almost went exactly as I kind of anticipated it as well. I thought Outsiders was just a slightly better team. They didn't look like huge favorites, and I think that one was a fair spot as well. And 16-7 over 9Z, again, really big favorite, got the job done pretty easily. I think the favorite won in like every scenario here except for B&E, which was like a Bad News Eagles, which was like a even money slight underdog, if anything. So not a lot to love really from yesterday's slate. Then of course they did end up playing the second slate of games as well. To quickly recap those: Eternal Fire 16-2 Renegades, G2 won in overtime against Spirit, Complexity barely beat IHC, Fours 16-7 over Bad News Eagles, Imperial beat Team Liquid, so Team Liquid is down 0-2 as well. Ents beat Outsiders in the 1-0, so the Ents moves up to 2-0. Vitality 16-8 over Australis, and MIBR barely comes through over 9Z on the last match of the day. So pretty interesting stuff. Really, really weird stuff. So we do have best of threes finally, so that is something to look forward to. It is only 3 games. I feel like for as big as the tournament is, we really should be getting a little bit more in terms of DFS slates, but I guess it's just a weird thing how this stuff goes. I believe like Astralis, like some of these other games are still best of ones because they're like 1-1s. Yeah, like Complexity Outsiders, those are ones. For some reason, Vitality and Fours is not on there. I think they're still avoiding the Russian organizations on the DFS slates, so that's a little annoying. I'd like Fours actually as an underdog against Vitality. I think this number's still a little off to me, in my opinion. Um, I definitely think Vitality's not that great still. I know, and I think Fours has been playing really well. I think this is a super skewed price. I like taking fours. I wonder what their like maps number is. +4.5, but these numbers are a little bit gross. I just like taking a small like money line shot there with fours +280. That's not the greatest. I'd try to look and find maybe +300 or something. Um, if you do have like book options, but I still think fours is the underdog against Vitality makes sense. But for DFS slates purposes, we can go ahead and get started going to the games that are actually mattering. So Renegades versus IHC, both of these teams are 0-2. As we could see, this is a best of 3, so we're getting into like real game territory. IHC is the slight favorite, -175 against Renegades +135. So we can go ahead and get started talking about these games in this series here, about the strength and the level of these teams. So overall, I'm honestly just a little surprised that IHC is the favorite here against Renegades. Um, Granted, Renegades kind of got a little screwed in a way. Or sorry, the other way. I think 9Z kind of got a little screwed. Actually, it's not true. The point I was going to make is that Renegades actually played relatively beatable teams and still got uh, stomped pretty much. Eternal Fire should have been a pretty close match, I think, and they lost 2-16. And then over on the IHC side, they lost 2-16 as well, but to Astralis. Astralis is obviously much better than Eternal Fire, and they barely lost to Complexity. I think overall IHC definitely did look a lot better, and I think this price is relatively fair. I just think this is a little bit of an overreaction to what we saw on day one. And I think overall the skill level of these teams is pretty comparable. If not, I would slightly favor the Renegade side a little bit more. Um, I do like some of the individual prowess and talent that we do have coming from the IHC boys, but I'm still just not on that side at all, really. I still think Renegades are probably a little bit better. I think this is just an overreaction. I'm gonna go with what I think is a little bit of a longer term form, a little bit of a longer term team, and I do think the big difference here is that we've seen our Renegades be playing consistently for a little bit of time here. I know it doesn't show it here, but I think they were in Europe not that long ago. I guess it was kind of tailing off on the 3 month mark, but they were competing in some of the like European matches. Like they were going against some other teams. I think maybe there was might have been under a different org name. I'm not sure, but I feel like these players were in Europe not that long ago. Like they were practicing and trying to look to get better. Um, and as we could see, they actually did play earlier. Maybe this is definitely a part of the odds. Is that in the qualifiers we see IHC beat Renegades 2-0. Um, Upper bracket final winner qualifies for majors, so this is a pretty important match, and we do see IHC get the job done here. But I think it's something to note is that this is a really, really poor performance from Alistar, or Alistair, depending on how you pronounce that. I don't think that's going to happen again. I personally just do not see this the same way that the price does, really. I think Alistar had a really, really bad performance that day. I don't think that's replicatable. I do think this is a close match, but I think this is the one where I'm taking the underdog side. I'm going with the Renegades boys. Alistar at 6'2", something I love a lot. He has tremendous upside, really, really strong player. Then pair him up with players like Elias or Inns maybe. Elias is only 7'4", so I like Alistar at 6'2", Elias at 7'4". Those would be my two to go to. I think you could get a little bit creative and try to get to Inns at 8'4". I don't know how many people would get there. That makes a lot of sense to me, but I think Alistar and Elias are the two I'd like to go to. Pretty cheap as well. I think it makes a lot of sense. I think they're going to be relatively popular, but I think it's fine. I'm going to get there anyway. Looking at IHC, they have a pretty condensed kill share with Blitz and Score, but they're pretty expensive. I don't know how many people are going to get there. That is a little bit concerning. But I think Techno being 5.2, or 5.2k, he has pretty decent numbers. I think people will get there. 9 at 5.8k. Pretty affordable. He's not the worst numbers there either, so I'm fine. I'm just going to Renegades. I like Alistar, Liaz. We do have a 3-match slate here, so a lot of the times people go to 2-2-2s. I would go to Liaz and Alistar. Maybe I'll get to Inns, but it's a little risky, in that's for sure. Next up we have a pretty really exciting match here between ENCE and G2. These two teams are both playing like top 5 teams. I think this is going to be an extremely exciting one to watch. I'm really excited to watch this one. Either way, we've seen that both these teams been playing really strong lately. We checked the odds. It is -115 both sides. It is a pick'em, and the odds did open up slightly towards the ENCE side, and it got bet down to G2 even money. We could tell that because ENCE is -1.5 on the spread market there. So we know ENCE was considered the favorite in terms of what Bovada's odds were putting out. I think that's a little bit off. I do think this is a close match. The only thing here, it's a little hard to make of like kind of what happened yesterday, because it is just one day. It's best of ones. I don't want to glean too much from it, but I honestly didn't love a lot of what I saw from Ents. I feel like G2 had a really dominant performance over Liquid, who I know that they didn't look good yesterday, but they're still a relatively respectful team. And then they got the win over Spirit as well, a close overtime victory. I just thought they put themselves through a little bit more of a tester there. I just liked what I saw more from the G2 boys. Um, what it comes down to a little bit though is the fact that um, I think G2's players overperformed a little bit. I mean, we talk about overperforming. Spink's 2.65 KD from these matches. He was absolutely killing it yesterday. Um, he went pretty crazy, but we saw crazy numbers from Monacy, Hunter, Nico. That's a lot of what plays into this as well. Is we actually did see a really condensed kill share coming from G2. It was definitely all on Nico, Hunter, and Monacy. Similar to what I outlined yesterday with Ents, is they just have so many mouths to feed. They have so many upside potential matches here. Um, like if we look at the scores from yesterday, they had Deha and Hades and Spinks all get pretty good matches. And then on the first one, it was Deha, Hades, and Spinks, I guess, as well. They're actually performing pretty well, those three. So there's a lot of options. I definitely think you could go to any of Nico, Hunter, Monacy, Spinks, Deha, and Hades. I think those are all very viable players. It just depends on what side you want to go to. I do think overall, I actually do kind of expect G2 to win, but I think hopefully I'm going to try to get a little bit of a leverage here. I think a lot of people are going to want to go to G2. I think Monacy is going to be really popular. I think all three of the G2 guys are going to be popular. People tend to play Nico, Hunter, and Monacy. We saw that yesterday. Monacy's ownership was pretty high. I think people will go back to that. I'm going to go on the end side. I'm going to play Spinks, Hades, and Deha instead. I'm not sure how I'm going to mix and match them. Again, like we mentioned, I don't know if you want to get to 3 stacks in this type of format. I just like going the end side. I think they're going to be a little bit overlooked. Hopefully they're the lesser owned of the two. I think Spinks being more expensive than Nico will throw a lot of people off. People are going to want to go to Nico and Monacy. Mix in some Hunter. He's very affordable as well. I think Ents is affordable and easy to get to as well. Hades and Deha obviously making part of that up, but I'm going with Ents. I think this is a close match. I could definitely see it going either way. But I'll go with Ents. Hopefully the ownership is a little bit lesser on that side. That's kind of what I'm aiming for. So I think 50-50, I'll go with the lesser owned team. And then the final match of the day for this slate is Liquid versus 9Z. This is a little bit of an unfortunate scenario where we do have a really... that's odd. IHC in the first series, Renegades IHC. IHC is continuously still being bet up as the favorite there. That's a little odd to me. I'm just a little perplexed from that, honestly. Yeah, it is what it is. And then the final match, as I got a little off track there, is Liquid 9Z. Really big favorites here are Team Liquid minus 400, 9Z at plus 270. I do think this is relatively fair. Team Liquid, they went 0-2 yesterday. I do think that is a little unfortunate. However, they did go up against obviously pretty strong teams. I mean, their loss to Imperial was a little disappointing. They looked relatively disheartened in it, in my opinion. I honestly kind of liked what I saw from 9Z, but do I have enough belief? I don't know. It's tough. Liquid really let me down, and I think this is going to be a similar case to Renegades, where I think I'm going to do a little bit of throwing out day one because it's one day. It's 2 best of ones. I don't want to put too much stock into it. I'm still going with Team Liquid. I know it's not necessarily a hot take. Like Team Liquid is a minus 400 favorite here. It's not a crazy flaming take here. I'm fine just going back to them. I think it just makes too much sense. Again, all the things I said yesterday are still true. It's still heavily dependent on NAF, OC, and Elige. They are really expensive, 82, 9, and 9.8 respectively for OC, NAF, and Elige. I'm playing them. I like OC and NAF specifically, mixing in some Elige maybe. as well. I think they are 3 stackable because the fact that I do think they are most likely to get the 2-0. The sweep bonus will come in. The other 2 matches I think will be close. So it makes a lot of sense to go pretty heavily on the Team Liquid side. It's not going to be a hot take necessarily, but I think it makes sense. I think it's still a fair thing to do. If I do mix in some Team Liquid and some Ents and then some Renegades, I think we're going to be unique enough to warrant playing Team Liquid. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to be picking all of the bottom teams here, Renegades, Ents, and Team Liquid. We talked about some of the players that we're focusing on already. I like Alistar, I like Liaz, I like Diha, Hades, Elige, Naf, Spinks, OC. I feel like I'm missing somebody. Probably not. Again, Inns was the one who maybe could make the short list there. He would probably be really low owned. He's not a bad idea to go to Inns at 8.4, but it's tough to justify playing him when you have a lot of the other names around him. So that's my list. I'm going to be sticking to these players pretty hard. I think it makes a lot of sense. Hopefully we can turn our fortunes around today, and that'll be it for me today. I will see you guys again, I believe tomorrow. I'm not sure what the schedule and stuff is looking like, but if there's a decent playable slate, I'll make a video about it. Hopefully you guys can perform a little bit better today as well. Hopefully didn't follow me too hard yesterday. We went down to the depths, but we will look to turn it around, and that'll be it for me today. Best luck to you guys, and I will see you guys and when I see you.